Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is the Port of Commission regularly scheduled meeting for Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. I'll start with our mission statement and how to participate in our meeting. Our mission is to promote sustainable economic development, optimize transportation gateways, and manage publicly owned land and facilities to benefit Whatcom County. There are multiple ways to participate. We always appreciate folks who show up in person. You can also participate through phone, Zoom, or YouTube. And I'm going to start by ending the executive session and opening the public meeting with roll call. Commissioner James?
Present.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Here.
Commissioner Shepard is here as well. We have two public comments. I'll read a short blurb on the process for public comment. The Port welcomes public comment at Commission meetings to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to speak. The Commission generally listens without engaging in back and forth discussion during the meeting. Commissioners consider input received and may request a follow-up by the Executive Director or ask that the issue be scheduled for further Commission discussion. There are two public comment periods during each regular Commission meeting, one at 4 p.m. and the other at the end of our regularly scheduled business. Each public comment period may be limited to 15 minutes in total, and speakers are asked to keep their remarks to 3 minutes or less. We always welcome written comments as well. So looking at my list here, I'm going to start with Mark Gary.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Mark Jerry.
Sorry, Mark. Sorry.
I am speaking today as a private citizen about an issue that is important to me, which is AI automation at port terminals. There is a specific push happening down in Tacoma where, even as a workforce participant here, I do this job at Husky Terminal as a Marine clerk. When I travel and get assigned to that for the day. And they want to take away those jobs and have it fully done by computers, which would cut out numerous workforce participants and use public money to do so. And there is a petition going around, which I will then email to you later this evening, and I hope each of you will sign it to tell your compatriots in another commission to make a good choice that affects all of us in the region. And I hope that hearing about it here will limit and make good choices about that in the future, not with just this 3-person council, but with a 5-person commission in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person on my list is Steve Powers.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. I'm Steve Powers, a resident of Whatcom County. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I'm here to urge this Commission to follow the lead of the Port of Seattle and adopt a clear policy limiting the use of Port of Bellingham property and resources for civil immigration enforcement activities. This isn't a partisan issue. It is a matter of economic health, public trust, and community values. Whatcom County depends on immigrants as workers in our fishing industry, our farms, our hospitality sector, and the maritime trades that move through this port every day. The Port of Seattle's Commission recognized explicitly the policies creating fear among workers and visitors carry direct economic consequences, business disruptions, reduced commerce, and real job losses. The economic states here are local and immediate. Dylan Hancoop recently interviewed Randy Kraut, who runs Barbie's Berries right here in Whatcom County. Randy recently lost 2 of his key employees who had worked for them for 18 years because of ICE arrests. He's now worried about whether he'll be able to bring in this year's harvest, and he is not alone. Ben Tyndall, the executive director of Save Family Farming, based in Everson, recently published an opinion piece in the Bellingham Herald. He explained that they have documented a significant uptick in farm worker detentions across Northwest Washington in recent weeks. This includes workers with proper documentation and no criminal records. Last year's enforcement activity contributed to serious harm to Washington's cherry harvest as workers stayed away from jobs fearing raids. As enforcement surges here in 2026, the risk to our upcoming berry and fruit harvests is even greater. We have seen across the country and in our own region that ICE and CBP agents engaging in enforcement actions that have been challenged in the courts as unlawful, stops and detentions lacking reasonable suspicion, workplace raids without proper warrants, and sharing traveler data without due process. These are documented violations of the Fourth and Fifth Amendments rights that belong to everyone on American soil. This commission should not allow port property or resources to be used, even passively, to enable these actions. In February of this year, the Port of Seattle Commission adopted order number 2026-03. That order prohibits port property from being used for civil immigration detention or as staging, storage, or operational support for enforcement activities. I'm asking this commission to do the same. This port has a mission to serve the economic community and community well-being of Whatcom County. You can fulfill that mission by making clear in writing as policy that the Port of Bellingham facilities will not be used to support civil immigration enforcement that undermines our workers, frightens our neighbors, and erodes the public trust that this institution depends on. I ask you to direct staff to draft a similar order to engage with your regional partners, including the City of Bellingham and Whatcom County, to make this port a genuinely welcoming gateway for everyone who works and lives and travels here. And I'd just like to quickly ask how many people here are supportive of the port taking a step like this and following the Port of Seattle's lead. Thank you, and thank you for your time and for your service to Whatcom County.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next person on my list is Laura Weiss. Hi.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Weiss, and I'm here on behalf of Walk and Roll Bellingham. We're an all-volunteer organization dedicating to make Bellingham more accessible and safer for everyone who bikes and walks, and we focus on advocacy, education, and policy. We're here today to share our concerns about the port's decision to install a new 109-stall parking lot across from the Granary building. We believe this project is in direct conflict with the port's sustainability priorities and the community's long-term vision for the waterfront as a vibrant, people-centered district. Extensive port-led planning efforts acknowledge that surface parking generates more vehicle trips, degrades pedestrian environments, and creates conditions that make walking, cycling, and transit use less comfortable, less inviting, and less safe. Our shared goal should be to make the waterfront a pleasant and vibrant place to be. Projects that add more cars and traffic will do the opposite. While we do not dismiss the real access challenges that people face today, studies consistently show that adding surface parking will not solve the access problem. In fact, it just makes the problem worse. More parking induces more vehicle demand, meaning more people will drive and expect parking when they arrive. Surface parking entrenches car-dependent access patterns on land that will eventually need to be freed for buildings, parks, and infrastructure. Therefore, we are asking that the port consider the three following requests. One would be to pause the granary lot contract and formally evaluate alternatives, including multimodal access improvements. 2, quickly install much-needed secure bike parking at all waterfront destinations. And 3, commit that any future parking expansion is matched dollar for dollar with investments in multimodal and transit access infrastructure. Bellingham's worked hard for its reputation as a walkable, bikeable community. The waterfront is the port's most visible and consequential piece of public land. The choices made here will define whether that land becomes a model for sustainable, people-centered urban development or an expanse of asphalt with a sea breeze. We are eager to work collaboratively with the Commission, Port staff, and community partners toward a waterfront development that reflects our community's values. Thank you for your service and commitment to making Bellingham better for everyone.
Next person is Julia Tezoretz. I got that last name terrible, but I'm sure. You can help me.
I'm coming up with her.
She's after me, so. Hello, Commissioners. My name is Julia Georgiados, and I am the owner of Mercado della Bonta in the Granary Building, and I'm here to talk about in favor of the gravel lot that is being built right across from the Granary Building, and its importance not only to our businesses in the Granary Building, but also to the customers for accessibility to our businesses, but also to the waterfront. Cars are used by people who have mobility issues, but people who also have families. And a gravel lot down at the waterfront where it's being built now would be great for anyone to be able to access downtown Bellingham as well, besides just the Granary Building businesses. So it is a much welcome addition to the community, to us, business owners, our employees, but also our customers and anyone else in Bellingham who wants to use it, where they can leave their car, feel free, and walk a block up downtown and enjoy whatever's in downtown and also in the waterfront. Did you want to add?
Yes, I'll add to that. Hi, my name's Elizabeth. I own Honey Salon in the Granary Building, and I've been there since 2020. And it's been really fun to watch the evolution of the waterfront come to be what it is. And it's beautiful, and it is gorgeous, and there's lots of fresh air, and the park, and all the fun, like, cool events that we've got to have. I have always people coming to me that have appointments, and a lot of those people have handicap disabilities. I have staff that have disabilities as well. So having parking has been a really, like, important thing for me and my business. But also I see so many people come to the waterfront, and they're not all young. They can't all ride a bike, and a lot of them do need to have access to be there. And people coming to visit Bellingham is a cool thing too, when people come down to the waterfront. And if there isn't accessibility for them to come and park, that's going to really limit who can be there to enjoy it. So for my business, not just my business, but just for Bellingham in general, I would hope that we would pave ways for people that do have handicap issues. That's been my biggest complaint from clients and from staff and people around me has been, it is hard to access. And even the parking that's there is better, but it's not, it can always be improved for handicapped people. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you so much.
And I also am just going to add, because we have 40 seconds, with the opening of Colshin now for the season, and the pump track is very popular, and a lot of families do come with their children, and they enjoy that outside, which is fantastic. We love to see it. But parking has always been an issue, particularly this time of the year, for everyone. So it is really a much added necessity. The gravel lot that is going to go in with 109 spaces for all of us as a community, for even people who come outside of Bellingham who can't, if they come from Blaine or Ferndale or wherever it is that is not in Bellingham, they come with their cars. They can't ride their bikes down to the waterfront to enjoy the pump track. And now I'm done. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. Andrew, we appreciate the timer. It helps everybody. All right, so that was Julia and Elizabeth, both. All right, thank you. Next person on my list is Mr. Mike McCauley. A familiar face for the port. Familiar face.
I think in 10 years I've done this. This is number 2. I'm here to speak on the commissioner compensation. I think there's 4 of us in this room that know what it takes to do this job, and I know that it's never fully compensated or never fully compensated to what you actually need to do. The number that I heard presented out there is extremely reasonable. I heard the number and I was like, oh, why even vote on that? I mean, it's not much in your budget. And again, given what you all need to do this job well, I know what it is, and I think it's probably well overdue. And at least my household, we support it. So if you'll vote and support it yourselves, we would be in favor. So thanks.
Thank you. Next person on my list is Jason Dovmerek. I don't know if I got the last name correct there.
Not exactly, it's Mark. Sorry for my sloppy penmanship. My name is Jason Dove Mark. I'm a resident here of Bellingham. I want to follow up on Steve's comments about the port's cooperation with Customs and Border Patrol and the Air and Marine Enforcement Unit. So as you all know, on March 17th, there was about 10 of us who came, expressed a lot of concerns and reservations about the lease that the port has for those CBP facilities. Didn't hear anything from the port until about 4 hours ago, and I got an email from Tiffany. Tiffany, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I just want to know, when will you all schedule a public hearing so there can be a robust conversation, debate about the port's cooperation with Customs and Border Patrol, and hopefully following, as Steve said, the lead of the Port of Seattle and their unanimous, which Steve mentioned, their unanimously passed resolution prohibiting any civil enforcement. So I'd just like to ask, Tiffany's got my email. That's something to be scheduled and we be given due notice, since you obviously have a number of people in this room who care about that issue. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Dan Tucker.
Hey, good evening, Commission. So I just wanted to highlight that this morning we got to take part in a very successful Blue Tech by the Bay, which is the annual event that the Working Waterfront Coalition hosts alongside the Port of Bellingham and other partners and tenants of the port to get hands-on experience for our youth in the marine trades. And we really appreciate your partnership. We really appreciate all the staff time, particularly Corey, if she's in the room, and Tyler, if he's in the room, for their help in helping plan that and implement it this morning. And then just to highlight that we actually had another fantastic event I had to duck out early for at Western that finally saw us getting local seafood from one of our tenants here in the harbor, Northline Seafoods, into Western's dining room for the first time, which was fantastic to engage with those students and have them understand and learn where their seafood comes from and appreciate that we have such a bounty of it here in the Northwest. We also are coming off of a successful Tide to Table from last Saturday. So thank you all for those of you that attended. It was great to see you there. And we did really well at that event. And we're really excited to lean into having more dockside vendors next year get involved with that. And then a shout out, if you're not aware, our graduation for our apprenticeship program is happening this Friday. This is our first graduation for our apprenticeship program, our first graduating class of marine service technicians, and we're really excited to get them through with their program and give them their certificates. So we hope that if you're able to make it Friday, 5:30 at the Boathouse, we'll see you there. But all of these things are the result of collaborations. And one of the things that I have been highlighting all week long through all of our events that we've done is the collaborative spirit that exists along our waterfront, and how unique it is to our waterfront that we have that so many of the businesses, the tenants, the marine trades, our organizations, the port staff and commissioners work together to make so much in this community happen that is not possible in other places. And we get calls all the time from other working waterfront organizations when we tell them about the events we're hosting, and they ask, how are you doing this? And it's because of that spirit of collaboration and building together that we all share in this community. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Very good. Next person on my list is Gabriel Donahue.
Jobriel. Thank you, Commissioner. First, I want to jump in and support the parking lot at the waterfront as well. I am the owner of Admiralty Lounge in downtown. And one of the things that I have witnessed over the last 3 years is that parking is a constant challenge all throughout downtown. And with the waterfront, we have lost those 103 spaces that we will gain back because people have been parking up next to all the restaurants and the retail. And that has created additional challenges for all of the downtown businesses. So in the interest of growing back downtown and growing Bellingham's central core, I think that parking lot is a spectacular first step in a long, long list of things that we need to do to make it accessible for people to come down here. Also, as a partner of a disabled person, I would very much appreciate there being more than 2 ADA parking spaces down there by the water that are accessible to people who cannot ride bikes or walk long distances. Second, and this is just a little one, it's probably come up before, but I'd like to advocate the port meetings being moved to a 6 p.m. time slot. I'm sure that's not happening right away, but it does feel like the 4 p.m. time slot is exclusionary, not by design, but kind of by nature. There are a lot of people, I'm sure, that would like to participate in this, and many of them can't make it down here before that point. Third, I am here also, like Mike, to address Port Commissioner pay. With 2 commissioners coming up, I think normalizing the pay structure for the port and bringing it in line with other comparable ports within the state and in competitive markets, I think it's very important because that's going to have a big impact on the people who are going to want to run for port commissioner. I know it's not a huge raise, but it is, like, every dollar is meaningful. I think all of us in the room will agree right now that we're all being stretched in every possible way. And so it is very important that the people who are doing full part-time too, I'm sure there are weeks when it's more than a full-time job, that you are being compensated in a level that does not build resentment like it would in any other, like, civil employee or private employee. Compensation means something to people, and so I would strongly recommend you bring that up while there is still time to do so before it is affecting the new port commissioners. Thank you very much.
All right, next person on my list is Bayard. I'm not sure if I got the last name Johnson.
Hi, I just want to add my voice to Steve and Jason's in favor of having a hearing to talk more about the CBP issues currently at the Bellingham Airport, and specifically the hangar space being rented. They said everything that needed to be said, but I just want to add some more voice to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Terry Wolf. Okay. Next person on my list is Beth Hartsock.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thanks for your service to our community. I'm here to speak in support of increasing commissioner compensation. And I know that I'm not the first person here to talk about this, but I think I would say even what's proposed by the very hardworking staff is probably not sufficient to make the difference for people thinking about running for office. The work you do is impactful. I think we would probably all share the value of wanting it to be accessible to good candidates who actually need to make a living wage, and raising it from a total compensation of $27 a year to a total compensation of $31. I'm not sure it gets us there. So I would be in support of certainly what's recommended, but even beyond that, for effective candidate recruitment and just to keep great people doing the work for our community. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Atul Deshmani.
I'm going to speak about commissioner compensation as well. I would support the increases that are suggested. Being in line with, for example, Port of Skagit. And the reason is because it's a lot of work to be a commissioner. I know that experience from being at the PUD, and certainly the what's on the plate for port commissioners no less than what's on the plate for a PUD commissioner. And I think that many of the things that we've experienced over the last, let's say, decade at the port, with a little bit more allocation of time and resources from the commission, maybe some of the challenges would have been more easily surmounted. And when you are running on a very limited time as a commissioner, one of the things that it limits your ability to do to dig deeper. Certainly you can do that, but I would like to see more of a support for commissioners to do that work of auditing the process between policy and the budget. And, one of the challenges in local government is there's tremendous inertia in the staff, and I love staff. But the reality is that to change the direction, whether we're talking about the city, the county, or the PUD, it takes a lot of work on the part of a commissioner to change direction. And so when you are, working obviously on occasion on a particular topic, you might dig deeper and invest your own time. But in addition to that, having a little bit more support from compensation to be able to invest the time, put time you would spend with family or kids or other work towards work at the port as a commissioner will really help, I think, this organization steer in a new direction. I mean, this port is going through perhaps the most significant change in its history. 5 new commissioners, new executive director. It's a tremendous opportunity to meet the needs and wants of the community, and I think that compensation is a key part of being able to get commissioners to invest that time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's everybody on my list. Anybody else in the room who would like to provide public comment? Yeah, please come on up.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Tribble. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just want to echo a few of the previous speakers in requesting that you all consider adopting a resolution similar to that adopted by the Port of Seattle recently, and also to express my enthusiasm for a date to be officially set for a public discussion surrounding the relationship between the Port of Bellingham and DHS and its various branches. I would love to put that on my calendar, so I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Commissioner, I just wanted to let you know staff is prepared to bring something forward to talk about the issue that all these people have taken time out of their day to come out in May. So we'll put that on the May agenda.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you for that, Tiffany. Anybody else in the room wish to provide public comment? Do we have anyone online? We do not. Okay. We have an additional public comment period at the end of our regularly scheduled business. I appreciate everyone who did take time out of their day to be here and share your thoughts with us. We are going to move to a new staff introduction. I have Stephanie Wiley.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Stephanie Wiley, Community Outreach Manager. Happy to be here today to introduce our new Marine Life Center Supervisor, Sam Russell. Sam is joining us most recently from Skagit County Public Health. She was an environmental health specialist. She also has experience with the Department of Ecology and Padilla Bay, and we're really excited for her to bring her variety of experience into our great team at the Marine Life Center. Welcome to Sam.
Welcome.
Welcome, Sam.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. The Marine Life Center is a well-loved community gem. So thank you for coming in to help with the part of our waterfront that people just love, and remains a open year-round, free, and available to all community members and visitors to our community. It's one of those great services that we provide, and every time I'm here, I see kids running back and forth to. I like going there too. So it's great for all ages. All right, that moves us to our consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through F.
All right, any questions or comments, Commissioner Briscoe?
I do have a comment. Item C, I would like to remove from tonight's consent agenda and move it to our next meeting so that we could, as a commission, we could speak about this in the executive session, because I don't feel we have spoken about this, and I'm pretty sure that we need to talk about this. So
Okay.
I would ask that we remove that from tonight's agenda. Other than that, I have no questions.
Okay. Great, thank you. So let's see, do we need to approve that, motion to approve that, moving it? Help me out with the next
If
step.
you don't have anything else to pull off of the consent agenda, and you might wait until all of the commissioners have had their say, then Tracy can repeat the motion, and it can just exclude item C. So it can be a motion to approve consent agenda with the exception of item C, and then you can move forward from there.
Okay, and I would support keeping it for the next meeting as well. I think it would be useful for us to have a little more conversation. Okay,
Yeah, I had questions on that, so I'm happy to postpone.
thank you, appreciate
I
it.
figured we all would have questions. I had them immediately. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments, Commissioner James?
Yeah, my question, besides what we just pushed forward, is
D about the landings at Colony Wharf, and I guess I just wanted to make a sort of comment, clarifying comment about allowing Colony Wharf to have a lease of the C Street terminal and then the exclusive use of that side of the Whatcom Waterway. And I actually, I biked by Colony on my way down here just to chat with them. And so just wanted to let folks know that this is sort of just formalizing the way that they're already working down there. And I see that work, across at the Granary Building. I see the work happening over there. So this is just formalizing the work that's already being done. And the concern that I had was making sure that if we're giving exclusive use of a section of our waterway to a business, that we're not relinquishing the ability for public input on the goods that are being moved there. And it sounds like there is already a process for communication with port staff and with the folks at Colony. So I feel better knowing that, and I just wanted to share that for everyone else to feel better. And I don't know, Terry, if you have anything to add to that. Did I get it right?
Yes, Commissioner, you did.
Okay.
All right, very good. Any other questions or comments on the consent?
I have none.
All right, Tracy.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through F, excluding C.
All right, Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. Carries 3-0.
Motion to approve resolution number 1358/C, update to the small works roster process to award public works contracts.
Hi, Commissioners. Tamara Sobczak, CFO. This item tonight is really a housekeeping item. In order to use the small works roster process, the port must adopt a resolution implementing the rules, which we have done in the past, but those rules get changed periodically. And so this updated resolution aligns with the changes in those laws. So 3 main changes. It increases the threshold from $300,000 to $350,000, so a small change. And then an update to the limited public works process to align with RCW 5308-120, which is public works projects under $40,000 does not require calling for bids. And that's specific, I think, to ports. And then it incorporates I can't read my own writing, excuse me. It incorporates a certified business utilization plan for projects under $150,000 in order to direct contract with small businesses. So that really benefits our small business community. And those were the main changes, and staff recommends approval. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention is I believe next meeting we'll have a procurement presentation, so all of this will become more clear then.
Okay. Very good. Questions or comments? Commissioner James?
I do have questions just about terms and language that I've never heard before.
Oh, okay.
But if we're going to do that next, when is that on? Did you say next?
Next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what a certified business utilization plan and rotation policy, I don't know what that means.
Okay.
So I trust you when you say that this is just updating to current standards.
Yes.
I'm fine with that, but I would like the opportunity to learn more about what these things mean.
Great. Well, I'll make sure to communicate that to whoever's presenting and make sure that all those definitions are better defined.
especially when it comes to support for small businesses and creating more opportunities for a broader range of businesses to work with the port.
Yeah.
It would be great for us to have, or for me to have more info on that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Questions or comments, Commissioner Briscoe?
I have none.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Except what she said, it was going to be clearly, was that clearly confusing or?
Motion to approve resolution number 1358-C, update to the small works roster process to award public works contracts.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well.
Motion to approve a new CIP for design services associated with the Airfield Improvement Project at Bellingham International Airport, BLI.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Matt Rodriguez, Director of Aviation at the Bellingham International Airport.
He's just so happy tonight.
You have to be. It's a choice. Okay, so for this action item I'm bringing forth is for the Airfield Improvement Project design. So this is one of the projects that we intend to complete as part of the runway rehabilitation project for 2027. Today we'll be discussing the project background, the scope of improvements, the project area, financial summary, and then answer any questions at the very end. Project background, so as part of the FAA's safety policies, we can say, the taxiway reconfiguration, this aims to replace 3 angled taxiway exits with a 90-degree perpendicular configuration to enhance safety visibility, reduce pilot confusion, and of course, at a FAA identified hotspot. And for those who don't know what an FAA hotspot is on the airfield, it's where intersections of taxiways are very confusing. And we have one of those. We refer to it as the Bermuda Triangle because you can literally get lost in which taxiway you're on. So this project will aim to eliminate that hotspot. The blast pads also, so the construct compliant 200 feet by 200 feet blast pads on both the north and south end of runway 1634. What we're expecting as a rough order of magnitude is about $13.5 million for construction for budget. And then for next year, the funding cycle for fiscal year 2027, the split is 90% FAA funding, 10% local share. So the scope of the improvements, again, taxiway reconfiguration. So we have 3 taxiways, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. Those will just be replaced with 90-degree perpendicular taxiways. And we update the signage as well that complies with the FAA advisory circular. Addition of the blast pads, again, on both ends of runway 16 and 34. This is to eliminate the jet blast erosion. And then infrastructure upgrades such as the lighting, converting those to LED, the guidance signage, drainage systems, and pavement to meet the current FAA and regional standards. So here's the project area. So the runway rehabilitation, again, all of that is highlighted in green or shaded in green. So that project has already been bidded out, and we received a low bid of $9.3 million, which is a really good deal for us as a port and the airport. The other areas highlighted on this diagram you'll see is the blast pads shaded in yellow, as well as blue and red. So the elimination of the hotspot, if you can see my cursor, this is what we refer to as a hotspot, is in this area. The east side of Taxiway Alpha, so this portion of the taxiway, I tried to cut that off a little bit. This is not part of this project. This will have to happen in later years, and don't worry, there's no impact to the runway closure for that one. But for this project, Mead & Hunt is the on-call engineer. We have a 5-year agreement with them. They'll be designing this to full design. It will be bidded out by January of next year. We'll have bids back in hand by February, and then just in time to apply for a grant. So the financial summary for the design for this year, fiscal year 26, FAA funding is at 95%, so the local share is at 5%. The design fee is $741,343.31. We add a little bit, 10% contingency for any unforeseen design. The total FAA share of that would be $815,000, $477, and the port share comes out to about, without any amendments to the scope for design, we're looking at $39,000 for the entire design. Any questions?
Questions or comments, Commissioner Briscoe?
Yeah, can we back up a couple of, I think one more, well, maybe it was the next one. The timing. January, February? Are we cutting things a little close here? I mean, or are you comfortable that that timeframe is going to work and we'll get that project done?
Yes, that's typical. So essentially for FAA projects, you design them throughout the year, and then you want them at full design by the end of the year, even like January, February timeframe. Typically, projects don't get bidded out until February. That's required by the FAA. Then bids in hand no later than April. And then once you have bids in hand, you make a selection. You propose that to the FAA as a lowest responsive bidder. And then thereafter that, it's just a matter of applying for the grant and getting funded. Everything's on a schedule with the FAA.
Okay, so my clarification for my brain here. In January, that's the first step. February is the second step. Then we got an FAA approval, the bids is the third step, which is going to go out in April.
No, bids will be going out as early as late January, early February. So we'll actually be ahead of all the other airports.
February, we're going to have the bid back, and then we can go to FAA.
Correct.
And how long do they usually take?
It's a pretty quick turnaround. Just for an example, we applied for the airport infrastructure grant. That is also going to be, it's a companion grant to the airport improvement project grant that we have. So when we received the bids, I believe that was in April, we applied for the grant. We received them in March, applied for the grant immediately afterwards, about 2 weeks after, and we already received one grant in hand already, grant 74.
Okay. And the likelihood of the second grant we need coming through?
Yes, yeah, that will be following up. They're companion grants, so one doesn't get approved without the other. So this is money that's already been allocated.
So basically, we're kind of guaranteed we're going to get that money unless the government falls off and they do something with it. So we don't have to wait and see on that one, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that was where I was going. And we got everything lined up to go, and now we're going to wait and see. We know how that wait and see can go, but all right.
Yep.
Thank you.
No worries.
Questions or comments, Commissioner James?
I think this photo is the photo I have seen the most since I've started working here. I have it memorized. I probably dream about it. So that makes sense. I appreciate all of the planning that's going into maximizing the airport closure to make sure that we are just getting the most bang for that downtime. So no other questions.
Great.
I'm so glad you said that. As this popped up, I'm like, you guys are going to be so tired of seeing this, and the public of seeing this by the time we actually get to the construction. So that's the goal, that everybody knows what's going on.
You'll likely see more of it.
We will see more of this, yes. Okay, very good. As we're thinking about kind of long-range planning, increasing things for international arrivals and international arrivals terminal, is that factoring into planning at this time period, or is this additional planning that we'll have to undergo later?
A little bit of both, Commissioner. Currently, right now, we have one grant out for the airport's terminal program. So we submitted that in early January, and that was for the funding of the first phase of the full design and construction of the FIS. We're still waiting to hear back whether or not we got selected. We did also submit another grant for the ATP grant, the Airport Terminals Program, to replace infrastructure such as our chiller for HVAC. So I think we have a pretty good shot at getting one of those grants. I think, from what I hear, is it's likely to us to receive the chiller grant. But also working with Mike Hogan for some congressional direct spending funding that would also accomplish the same phase one design and construction of the FIS as well. When that will be designed is just a matter of when the funding comes in, if we're selected.
Okay. But going back to our favorite map here,
Maybe we can clarify the Bermuda Triangle.
we wouldn't expect any changes needed to the flow of traffic on the airfield for the arrivals facility, correct?
Correct.
I think
Yeah.
what I'm wanting to make sure is we're planning sufficiently, and we're not going to have to revisit things like expensive projects like this because we're adding additional capacity or a new arrivals facility.
I see. No, not at all.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions or comments on this?
I have none.
Motion to approve a new CIP for design services associated with the airfield improvement project at Bellingham International Airport.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well.
Motion to approve resolution number 1430, a resolution supporting commercial air service at Bellingham International Airport and the development of new routes and destinations.
I'll go ahead and kick this off as we get the presentation up. Here we go. So I'll be presenting another action item for signature for the commission. This is the resolution supporting commercial air service out of Bellingham International Airport. We'll be discussing how Bellingham is the community's airport. We'll discuss Canadian border traffic decline, passenger leakage problem, passenger trends and current route network, the U.S.-Canada political landscape and path forward, and then the Fly BLI marketing campaign strategy, and then we'll, at the end, a resolution and call to action. Okay, so this is actually a really fun presentation for me. There's a lot of data involved, and there's a lot of, behind the scenes thinking about how the airport can be maximized and focus on how we can be, a better asset to the community. So, we are, one of the region's largest transportation hub in Whatcom County. We're the only airport in Whatcom County as far as commercial service goes. But we serve 4 different counties, right? So we serve Whatcom County, Skagit County, Island County, and a little bit of Snohomish County. So 4 counties is what we consider our catchment area. That doesn't include our friends from the north, our Canadian friends. But as we dive into the data, I'll explain, what the airport wants to achieve through this whole process and how the commission can support that. The Canadian border traffic is in decline. There's no secret there. I don't think that's news for anybody. On a national average, it's about 30.9%. Right at the Blaine border, 25%, and then traffic coming inbound to Whatcom County down 37.5%. So you can see those numbers and how they have been in decline for the last, several months here. Of course, there's political tensions. The tariffs didn't help. Some border uncertainty. That has all driven a pretty historic reduction in Canadian traffic coming down to Whatcom County, and we see that at the airport as well. One of our busiest times is spring break, and typically we see both parking lots very full. That was not the case for this year, unfortunately. Historically, BLI has typically seen a range of percentage of Canadian traffic, and it ranges anywhere between 45 to 65%. 65% here is shown typically back when we were in 2013, 2014 timeframe, when the currency exchange rate was pretty on par with one another. The Buy Canadian movement and anti-U.S. travel sentiment has resulted in 12 plus consecutive months of double-digit declines. We see that. We see that all over in Whatcom County, and we definitely see it here at the airport. So, we understand that the currency exchange rate right now is not in the Canadians' favor to come down and use BLI, and we'll have another few slides that will go over the whole historical component of the currency exchange and where our emplacements were during that time frame. This donut is pretty interesting. So as you can see in red, which is the majority of this graph here, is 70%, almost 71% of those 4 counties I mentioned, we lose to Seattle. So these are passengers that are within a 60-minute drive time or less to our airport are using Seattle. 10.9% of those individuals are using YVR. Payne Field is a non-factor, sits right about 1.3%, but we can see the bulk of that traffic going to Seattle. So when you look at passengers lost per day each way, that's the PDU. This means within our catchment area, those 4 counties, we lose potentially 3,040 passengers every single day that are going to other airports. That's almost, that's a lot of money in airfare revenue leaking daily. almost $1 million.
That
And that's
really
for the
irritates
airlines.
Matt. You can tell him. You can tell by your face.
And that's roughly about 2.68 million origin and destination passengers that are using airports, consistently throughout the year in those 4 counties, our catchment area. The BLI average fare, that is kind of skewed only because we have a low-cost carrier, which is Allegiant, which is great. But you look at average fares between YVR and Seattle, they're significantly more. So we have, we're not lacking the demand. Demand's there. We lack the capacity of, these airlines, recruiting airlines, recruiting the routes that are needed, and we'll kind of go into that as well and how we're working that. But just wanted to show this picture here that really, illustrates what we're losing in the local area. These are the passenger trends, dating all the way back to 2013, call them the good old days. 596,000, almost 600,000 enplanements. It was a busy time, a thriving time at the airport. And we can see as, the decline in enplanements going down to 2016, we kind of bounced back up to 2019, and then we fell off in 2020, and then started to rebuild in 2021. 2022 is when, Southwest, Allegiant, Horizon were all operating with very good load factors. I think the average load factor across all flights were at about 84%, which is really good. Then you can see it decline, even more so through 23, 24, 25. We'll bounce back between this slide and the next slide, but you can see this is the currency exchange rate. So the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. And you can see back in 2013, it was right on par, and then, it kind of jumps around, goes up, but it stays up, and then it stays up even more so. And you can see that correlation with our enplanements and how good our enplanements were back then. Really what that shows is that, the Canadians wanted the best deal, right? Rightfully so. And they came down and used Bellingham International Airport for their travel, And I think, what we find now is that this, we don't want to look at the traffic coming over to Bellingham Airport as like a sure thing. We can now see that. It's not a sure thing. This is, pretty volatile, especially given the currency exchange rate, political tensions, et cetera, et cetera. But we can see that it's in real effect right now today. I think we're roughly right about down to about 20-25% of our enplanements being Canadian. However, we have this whole other side, our local community, Whatcom County, Bellingham. We have Skagit County, Island County, San Juan Island counties, and Snohomish County that, we can really lean into. Hence why we did the travel surveys, the leisure travel surveys, and the business travel survey as well. So currently what we have today with the nonstop network today is Las Vegas, Phoenix Mesa, Palm Springs, Burbank. Oakland will be ending this May. That's the Bay Area. That's one of our top markets. Seattle, Washington, of course, that's always going to be there. And then Portland, Oregon. I will say right now, the Portland flight is doing extremely well. So we've heard nothing but really good things from Alaska network planners. So that route's kicking off. That is connecting a lot of people where they need to go, aside from going to Seattle, whether they drive or they fly down to Seattle. But these other ones with Allegiant and what they serve, these are direct leisure routes with no connectivity at the end of the route. We have a lot of, I think I have it in here. We have a lot of data that shows, the Bay Area, between the Bay Area and the Los Angeles Basin area is our #1 market. And unfortunately, with Allegiant pulling out of the Oakland base completely affects our flight to Oakland. So that is going away in May. Those were always consistently at 88 to 90% load factors, which is really good. That's the flight that Canadians really did like and enjoyed to use. In addition to this, Palm Springs, looking into the fourth quarter, that flight is potentially being suspended for the fourth quarter, and it will start in first quarter, only because of the lack of demand for Palm Springs, which is our Canadian partners who have, second homes down there, et cetera. Now, there is a flip side to this that's really good that we see in the data. We have, strong numbers going to Phoenix Sky Harbor. The Denver route is still on the table. Sacramento is doing actually very well, connecting through Portland. And then we also have, either Oakland or SFO, the Bay Area, that needs to be restored as well. So at these air service conferences, we are having some really good discussions with the network planners from each airline that look pretty promising in the future. Of course, we can't make them happen overnight. Things change overnight as well, but for most part, airlines are, they're waiting on aircraft. It's not in their business plan this year, but the important thing of attending these conferences and going to talk to the airline partners is just making sure that they're aware of our data and building those connections and relationships, which are paying dividends today. So we're getting traction with that. Navigating the political landscape here. So, of course, BLI will always welcome our neighbors from the north. More than welcome to come down. We want you here. We'll always remain committed to providing that, that cross-border travel and the gateway for those individuals or Canadian friends. But over here, the business imperative here, from an enterprise perspective, again, and I'll say it again, we need to start recapturing those leaked passengers. We know where they're going. We have the data. It's just a matter of getting in front of the airlines, having good conversations, how to make it happen. There's a lot behind the scenes that happens with those decisions, as well as on the airport side as well, and the port side. But we're gonna start focusing on recapturing those 3,040 passengers departing each way every day. So we've had some good discussions regarding just marketing. Our airport itself, aside from like the airline incentive program that the commission approves, or if we get a new route, such as when Southwest stepped into our airport, we never had a robust marketing plan, right? So what does that mean? For us, what that means is showcasing not just the airport, but the community, Whatcom County, Bellingham, it's kind of on the tourism side too, right? It's both things. We want to get people outbound, but we want to bring people inbound too. That helps all the economy thrive here. So first and foremost, this is like the awareness component is necessity, right? We need to have everyone in our catchment area understand where Bellingham Airport is. And I say that because there are some people out there who don't know that Bellingham Airport exists in those counties, unfortunately, but we're going to change that. And then recruitment, we're working that through air service development, justifying new routes, so that's taking place. And then also just retention, so highlighting why it's so convenient to come to Bellingham International Airport. It's a breeze. We're very cost effective to our passengers. We haven't changed parking rates for over 10 years. We remain the lowest on the western side, which is great. We take pride in that. But just letting our community understand and know our routes, what we serve, where we're at, our voice, our brand, all of that. And of course, with the community, build civic pride around BLI. We want to continue to be that economic engine. That's what airports are. It's an economic engine, the largest transportation hub in Whatcom County. A lot of people rely on it, so we want to give it the attention it deserves. So the resolution and call to action today, resolution number 1430 is supporting commercial air service here at BLI. Again, this is just discussing how the commissioners can support our current incumbent airlines such as Allegiant, Alaska, and San Juan Airlines. Commit to maintaining a positive business environment for commercial aviation. Support proactive efforts to expand air service, new destination, new carriers. We currently have an incentive program. There's a good opportunity that we probably will go back to it and address it. We'll work that with the director team and through the budget process as well. But endorse strategic incentives and marketing programs and regional partnerships. So there's a lot we can learn from other airports, that's for sure. But going to some of these AAAE, which is the American Association of Airport Executives conferences, which it's really good opportunity to network with other airports and see how they bring in passengers and create routes and et cetera. The whole shebang. It's really good to connect with those individuals. But more so for like the marketing programs. Like every airport has a marketing program of some sort. And it typically ranges between 4 to 7% of the revenue generated is what they throw towards marketing. I've had that discussion with about 6 airports now, and that's roughly about the number that gets thrown around of their overall revenue budget. Thank you. And any questions with this?
Okay. Questions or comments, Commissioner Briscoe?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions, comments. I mean, we kind of all know why people drive to Seattle, including myself, because you got to run over the rooster and kill him in a driveway to get to the airport here in Bellingham to hurry up and get down there and wait 3 hours to catch your flight. So, you know, if I got to do that, I might as well drive down there, and I don't have to wait. I mean, it's layover time, is it? And I don't know why Alaska can't ever get it together with a flight for us out of here that connects in a timely manner down there, that leaves in a timely manner there. Why does it leave 2 hours ahead of when it ought to get me there so I can sit for 3 hours in the airport? It has never made sense to me. And that's, you know, we talk about people bleeding out here. We don't have any flights out of here that make any sense to get to Seattle, to an airline, to get somewhere without waiting up to 4 or 5 hours sometimes. And it can't be that hard for Alaska to connect the dots. We got computers, for God's sake. They haven't been able to figure it out for 20 years. You know, and it's pretty simple in my mind why people don't want to wait. It's your time. I mean, and it's an inconvenience to sit and go here, then you got to go through the stuff down there and sit again. It's like, come on, we can make it easier. You know, and the other thing and my gripes are with Alaska in particular. They've been a pain in the ass here for a long time. I mean, I'm glad they're here and they're flying, but they're really not doing a very good job for the city or for the county, Whatcom County. You know, they've been flying to Alaska with a damn milk stop forever. They stop at Ketchikan, they stop at Wrangell, they stop at Juneau, they go to Sitka, they go to Anchorage. Why the hell can't they stop in Bellingham after they leave Seattle and pick up 20, 30 people that need to go north from here, that not fishermen, just people that live up there, that come and visit their families here, and then they could get on a plane up there when they want to come home, and they could land in Bellingham and get off, and that plane can go down and get rid of its mail at the other end. Are we working on any of that? It just aggravates me that those people could be that short-sighted that they can't figure out how to make one more stop to help us as an airport here and help our community. It's like, we don't care. We're flying right by you. That's what I feel like. And you can give that message to Alaska from here. They can watch it on YouTube, because I'm sick of it. And so are all the people that are driving away from our airport and going to the other ones. That's why. It's not rocket science. You can't get decent service out of the only airline that's giving us service to Seattle from here. And it's not your fault. It's not. It's just. It's Alaska Airlines' fault. They're dropping the ball. How about serving the people that have been paying you for, in my lifetime, probably 60 years I've been paying to fly on their airline, and I feel like we just got kicked to the curb.
Yeah, certainly I can speak a little bit about air service development and kind of what that process looks like. But I think what the point I should make is coming to them with data is how we sell what our market is looking for. And so every time we can provide data, they listen to that, and that really matters to them. So I think Matt's team's done a good job at beginning to collect that community data that we haven't always collected. And so I think showing the business case, because they're literally analysts that when you sit down with the network planners, it's speed dating for analysts. Literally, they're like, what do you got? What's the data say? And then they throw it in their computer and they make a business decision about it. And so I think continuing to bring them the data is key. Now, I will also say, as terrible as we all know the Allegiant news was that we got, it does perk up the ears of some legacy carriers, because legacy carriers that couldn't compete with the prices that Allegiant was offering to like the Bay Area. And so as those markets begin to be unserved from Bellingham, those other legacy carriers' ears perk up, because they can now charge a rate. So.
Well, you just tell it for me. I don't think it's too damn difficult to figure out when you got to leave Bellingham to get to Seattle and not wait for 4 hours.
I hear you, Commissioner. It's the larger network, right? So each carrier, especially legacy carriers, you know,
Right.
Delta, United, American, Alaska, and some others, they have a network, right? And so what they're looking at is more than just what our local demand and where they're going. So if I'm, for example, if I'm gonna fly to Texas and I'm gonna fly via Alaska, the times that I depart out of Bellingham may not be aligned with the local demand to Texas from Bellingham to depart immediately after I arrive into Seattle, right? On the flip side, if you're flying, let's say, for example, Oregon, and, well, that's a bad example. We'll say Montana. That's still a bad example, but you'll understand. But if you're flying from Montana to Texas, you want to connect through Seattle, which I don't know why you would, but again, this is just an example, is that they're looking at what is the local demand going to Texas from Montana, right? And what hub are they going to? So then they look at what the peak time of each travel day is, and then that's what they adjust their schedule. So for example, this is a better example, the Portland flight connects everyone, to San Diego, the Los Angeles basin area, Sacramento. So they're focusing on that. So what they're doing is they're testing to see how much local demand is flying out of Seattle and Portland to these areas, which then would justify a direct route. So the more that the community uses the airport and where they're going is data. And that's what airlines use to make decisions. They're very data driven. So you have to show one way or another where, if you can justify a demand for a direct route, or if there's enough demand from a local area to justify a different time of departure from Portland or Seattle to where you're going, it might align better with your departure out of Bellingham into that hub.
But my point has been for 60 years, whatever it's been, that same milk run's been leaving Seattle, going to Ketchikan first stop. And we used to have a flight out of here that you could go down and just about walk on and leave. So they know, and they've done it, but they just kicked it to the curb. And we have a lot of people, both in the cities in Alaska, that come here, that stay here, and it helps our economy. And a lot of people that go to Alaska from here, not from this county and state, Montana, east, all of those, they all come over here to go to Alaska, right? Well, they're all going to Seattle when they would rather come here than deal with the mess down there. I just I don't get it. I just don't get why they can't get a flight from here to Seattle to coexist with the flight that goes daily, every day of the year through all of Alaska. It just baffles me that, and I've asked this ever since I've been a commissioner of our airport directors, get us a flight that coincides so people will quit driving to Seattle, whether it's from Skagit or everywhere, will come up here and use our airport, and it's more convenient for them. But it's doesn't ever happen. So make it so.
No pressure.
We got our work cut out for us at the next conference, the planners.
That's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner James?
Really appreciate the work that went into this presentation and all of the data that you've collected. I don't know if it's because I'm also a business owner or an accountant, but I do appreciate data-driven decision-making. And so if there's a way to sort of harness Commissioner Briscoe's commentary there into some actual data that we can share that might pique their interest, that would be great. I also, I think what I heard you say is that there's some intentional work that we maybe haven't prioritized in the way of marketing and branding. And so I 100% see value in doing that that's what businesses do to be seen, and that there's no reason to not do that. So I appreciate that you're seeing that and putting that in this and thinking about that for the future. And it's pretty devastating for a county like ours, so close to the Canadian border. It's the connection is, you know, it's meaningful and it's important to so many people's livelihoods here. And so I've said before, and we'll just say again here, the relationship is damaged, and it's not our fault. We didn't cause that, but it is our responsibility to do the work to repair that relationship. And so however we can lean into that as a port in general and at our airport and on the commission here, I am excited to do that work to build that bridge again with our neighbors in Canada. I think that was it. Thank you. I totally support this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Tell us a little bit about some of the other impending challenges like we're seeing nationally with fuel costs rising. I think we're clearly not the only airport experiencing loss of Canadian travelers. We're also seeing it in major destinations like Las Vegas and other kind of tourist locations experiencing that lack of Canadian travelers because of what's happening nationally. On top of that, we get other challenges that just keep coming. They don't stop. Now we've got rising fuel costs, which are making it harder for airlines to operate. And we're seeing that internationally flights are being postponed or dropped or put on hold for temporary times because of rising fuel costs. Are we seeing that happen here yet?
Not yet, no. Currently, right now, Alaska and Allegiant are still continuing to serve the same frequencies for each flight daily. Some other airlines have adjusted some of their cost points, for additional fees for baggage, et cetera. Interesting enough, if you look at the historical of where oil increases, typically what you see with the airfares is they either stay the same or they even get reduced. And the thought process behind that and the logic is that disposable income, right? If families don't have as much disposable income, and you increase airfare, they're definitely not going to, fly. So they need to stimulate demand somehow. They take a hit, and typically it doesn't last too long. But when fuel prices are staying where they're at for consecutive months, that makes a difference. And then ultimately it leaves airlines with some business decision making to do, and typically they're going to be, either reducing some frequencies out of their lower performing flights and putting that aircraft somewhere else. It's just a matter of what works well in their network and what they can, how much cash funding they have.
Okay. And are we still working on the MRG program?
Yeah, so what we're doing is on May 4th, we have a small community air service development grant going into place. I do firmly believe that we have a very good chance at being selected. We literally hit every single criteria that the grant requires us, which is good. We have received a letter from an airline that I cannot tell in public right now, but happy to share that later. To serve a certain particular route. They like to keep their cards close, so. So yeah, it's looking good. Without a letter of intent, it makes it very difficult to get awarded. It's a very competitive grant. There's about 12 million going out this year, and we'll probably have roughly about 40 applicants. So typically we request right around like $950,000 for a minimum revenue guarantee. If awarded, we will demonstrate to the public of how this MRG is used. Typically MRGs are just to help the airline with their startup costs, and so they hit their profit margin and where they need to hit. But typically, if they are selecting a route that's sustainable and it's in demand, then more times than not, then you won't even tap into that funding provided by the DOT.
Okay. All right, well, keep us updated as that moves forward.
Yes.
Hope we get the grant. And, I think just what all this continually comes back to is so many of these factors are outside of our control. I appreciate that we're going to take a bigger step towards advertising and just promotion. I think that's important to do, and I support that. I think it also just punctuates the need for us to focus on development around and in Bellingham International Airport that's not only tied to commercial air service.
Correct.
And so that work that our economic development team is doing with our business development plan, we just can't have all of our eggs in one basket of a volatile market that we don't have many levers to control on a day-to-day basis. We have a lot more ability to control, do we build a warehouse for a company that's going to come in and do manufacturing of air parts or outfitting of air, planes or some other part of R&D for next generation, EV aircraft. These are all things that we have more control over, and is much more satisfying for our organization to be involved in when we can actually control some more of those outcomes. And so it continues to just emphasize that work that we're doing for business development and recruitment out there that's aeronautical based.
Correct. Yeah, and that's taking place right now, right? We still have a few firms to interview for that grant, that CURB grant. It's we're all excited about it because they're really going to be able to lean into what the community needs and what this specific region needs in our area of the greater aerospace industry. What makes sense to be here that isn't anywhere else? How do we support our current general aviation businesses and tenants with ancillary functions of stores and whatever support systems that could be put in place for them? So yeah, we're super excited to dive in and work with the consultant, whoever that may be at the time.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Nope.
No, I poked the bear enough.
All right. And thank you for getting other support letters. From what I understand, we got other letters of support from some of our other partners, including tourism and small cities. And
yep,
Yes.
and I believe that was Mike Hogan that was running that.
Yeah, Mike and I think Tyler got some from the small
Tyler.
cities. So we
Yeah.
got a lot of support for this.
Yeah, kudos to them. I just
Yeah.
received them.
all right, thank you very much for everyone who participated in helping us just build that case of support for our existing carriers.
Thanks.
All right.
Motion to approve resolution number 1430, a resolution supporting commercial air service at Bellingham International Airport and the development of new routes and destinations.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do our quarter one financials presentation. Is one
we
just
get a joke?
check? Does anybody need a break?
No, I'm good.
You're okay? All right. Depending on how long this goes, I may need one.
I will be brief, I promise. Tamara Sobczak, CFO.
She's just going to say good, good, and good.
Good, and so-so.
Oh, technical failure.
Oh. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Your fault.
You could have made Nate come up and do it. I see IT is represented here.
I didn't know what the presentation was.
Oh, we slipped one in on him, huh? He didn't get that. You didn't get the memo, Andrew? No. Oh, okay.
Well, I had to follow Matt, huh? Great. So, like I said, this is the 2026 first quarter financial results, and then just our standard quarterly updates. And like I said, it's pretty brief. So diving right in, looking at revenues compared to last year, this same time, we are up to $13 million compared to 11.8, and that's a little bit just across the board. And then expenses are also up a little bit, and that's mainly due to the non-operating, which is mostly environmental cleanup. So we had some really big projects going on. Diving in, we'll look at the aviation division. Revenues were a little bit lower than, let me just explain the graphs. The green bars are first quarter of this year. The orange bar is what we budgeted for this quarter. And then the blue bar is same period last year. So looking at the aviation revenues, they're down a little bit from what we budgeted. And that's mainly due to commercial activity. General aviation is right at budget. And then expenses are a little bit lower than budget, and that's because this time of year, we haven't really started the groundskeeping yet. We haven't, bought our de-icer yet. So I would expect that to go back up to budget. In the Marinas division, revenues are pretty much as expected. We've had such nice weather that I think people are voting more. And then expenses are very close to planned and last year. The shipping terminal, this is a little bit not the greatest news. We budgeted for 2 barges of wood chips per month for this year, and we've only had 1 barge at all, and those are actually on hold right now. So that's why the revenues and expenses are down for that activity.
But the good news is that John told me that we're having gravel barges, aggregate barges, so.
That's excellent news. So in 3 months, when I come back, this will look better. The cruise terminal is right at budget, no change in operations, so this is exactly where we'd expect to see. And the same with real estate. We did budget pretty conservatively for real estate, just in case there were we were looking at some maybe tenant issues, but we're doing just fine. And then the waterfront is, again, business as usual. One thing to note here is last year the expenses were quite a bit higher, and that's because we were in that legal litigation that we don't have that anymore, or right now.
Wait a minute, I just put my foot in the bear trap. Let me pull it back.
Wait. And then other public, this is our Economic Development Division, our Community Connections, and our Environmental Department. And those are revenues and expenses right at last year as well. And then again, I sound like a broken record. Overhead, this is our executive, admin, planning departments. Those are very steady costs. Without any new programs, we just see them go year over year. And all of that leads us to another strong balance sheet. So over the last 3 months, our net assets have increased by about $3 million. Any questions about the financial piece of this? Okay, great.
Wait, I do have one question.
Yeah.
Going back to the, could you go back a couple slides, the economic development slide? Just wanting to make sure I understand, because we were talking about moorage rates and then the discount for active commercial fishing. Are we seeing that here?
Yes, but it's so small.
Yeah. Yeah, not a value judgment, just trying to understand where it shows up. Okay,
be here.
Thank you.
And then another update is where we hold our investments. So we've got $8 million in federal securities, 3.5 in municipal securities, averaging 3.36%. And then the balance in our local government investment pool is just over 22 million, earning 3.7%. The interest rates have gone down. Last year, this time, they were above 5%, so we're seeing a little less income there. The public records requests, we've had only 24 in the first 3 months. That doesn't sound like a lot, but they're huge. And staff hours for the first quarter fulfilling those were 268 hours. Same time last year was 166 hours. So fewer requests, but requiring a lot more staff work to get those documents together. Stormwater program, apologize for the busy slide, but now we have 3 permits. So all permits are in compliance, including training and record keeping. The airport won all results were within permit limits. At the shipping terminal, we had 1 exception for suspended solids. And then fourth quarter of 2025, we initiated a permit for the Fairhaven Pier. And so this first quarter was the first quarter of monitoring. and all samples were within limits except one for zinc. And so those are being reported appropriately.
And that was the suspended solid with zinc?
No, suspended solids was at the shipping terminal. The Fairhaven Pier was zinc. And the safety report, I added a chart here because I think it tells a little bit of a better story. The chart on the left shows number of injuries or illnesses. We had 1 in 2026 so far, compared to 9 overall in 2025. But the chart on the right shows the DART rate, and DART means days away from work, restricted duty, or transfer to another job. And what that means is the more severe injuries, time away from work, maybe they had to go on light duty or something. So for example, in 2025, we had 9 injuries or illnesses, but only 5 of those resulted in some time away from work. So I think that's just a better indication of our safety program. And that is it for me. Any additional questions?
Questions or comments, Commissioner James? Got all yours out?
No, really tight, great work.
Thank you.
I have one. Can you back up a slide?
Of course.
So on both of these graphs, they're for the first quarter only, or is the one on the left for the entire year?
So every year is for the entire year, except for 2026 is just the first quarter.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. And for those samples that are out of compliance, we will keep monitoring those. And if they are out of compliance for multiple kind of reporting periods, that's when we are kind of having different conversations about our practices on the site, what needs to
Right.
change, and how we're working with ecology.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep, they trigger different compliance issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that zinc one, that's a brand new reporting. It's at the pier.
At Fairhaven Pier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any idea?
Where John isn't here today. Oh, John is here. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. We believe the zinc is just, so we have this new ISGP there and we've never tested before, so this was our first opportunity to see what was going on there. And so we actually tested it again at the end of the quarter, and it wasn't enough to average it down, but it was below benchmark. So next quarter, we don't expect to have an exceedance there.
Because we didn't previously operate this pier, we didn't hold the ISGP for it, but now we do. And so we're able to kind of get a look at what's going on closer up and then implement BMPs to best management practices
Exactly.
to address anything that's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the zinc could be from, I mean, it could, isn't that sometimes added to, metal to preserve it?
Yep, yeah, it's on galvanized material. That's typically where we see it come from. It could be from anything, historical use, Northline being there and operating. Yeah.
Right, okay. And the suspended solids is our new water treatment facility in place at the BST, and we're still triggering a suspended solid?
Yeah, so where we triggered that suspended solid was, it's related to seagulls. So, yeah, we have media filtration units that.
Tell us more.
Yeah, so media filtration units that that filter the water that comes out of the downspouts that comes off the roof of the warehouse, and so this particular one basically just indicated to us that we needed to change our media. So we've already changed the media. We expect it to be lower next quarter.
Okay.
And now it's an official port meeting.
I was just gonna say
Bathrooms
that.
and seagulls. And if we say that, it's a port meeting.
Yes, there we go. All right. Okay, we'll
Thanks, John.
be on the lookout for those birds.
So now we know when the seagull flies by and drops white, that's a suspended solid.
That's suspended solid.
Thank you.
Oh, boy. It gets better as we go.
All right. Good evening, commissioners and members of the audience. Tonight, I'm going to be presenting on our executive director recruitment and provide a brief update. So I'll go over each of the components of our recruitment process thus far, speak about them briefly, and then drill down into each of these components. We started off by contracting with an executive recruiter to ensure that we were tapping into an unbiased process and one that brought all the breadth of expertise from those folks that do this type of recruitment every day. The first thing that recruiter does is establish a candidate profile, meaning the qualifications, the experience, the necessary traits of a candidate for a role like this. In that, there was feedback received from stakeholders, commission, and staff. Then we move on to the advertisement, essentially the job posting, and ensuring that we're reaching a diverse set of candidates. And then it's the evaluation process, which is the most robust portion of any recruitment. Those are your interviews and other evaluation exercises, which will lead us to our next steps, where commission may conduct any necessary additional evaluations needed to proceed. So, like I mentioned, I'll drill down into each of those components. You may remember in September of 2025, we contracted with CPS HR Consulting. They've been leading the recruitment since then, and they do specialize in public sector recruitment and have extensive experience in Washington State, and they also have port experience as well. The first task that we gave them was to establish that candidate profile. So they completed stakeholder interviews with approximately 40 stakeholders from all different areas of the community. This includes government, neighborhood associations, other ports, nonprofit, tenants, and other partners of the port. They also completed an employee survey, gathering anonymous feedback from our staff on the needs of this position, and they met with the commissioners to ensure that all of those components were being gathered to draft the advertisement for this job. That advertisement includes a brochure that was posted and links out to the wage range and links out to the job description as well. So moving on to the advertisement, this job was posted in January for about a month, with the first review of candidates occurring on February 13th. CPS HR did a really great job of getting that national reach. They posted on social media, national port associations, public sector websites, executive job networks, our website, their website, and they did email campaigns as well. And one of the benefits of employing an executive recruiter like this is that they have that direct recruiting component that we don't bring. They have a network of qualified professionals that they reach out to directly. And they've reported that they made direct contact with approximately 9,500 individuals for this recruitment. All of that recruitment resulted in a candidate pool of 99 individuals. And I've broken them down by categories here. I'll go through them. 55 of those candidates were from out of state, so that really underscores that this was a national recruitment. 44 were in state. And then the last sort of column here I have is sectors. 40 candidates were from public sector, 9 were from nonprofit, 40 were from private sector, and 10 were from other industries. So that brings us to the evaluation process, which, like I said, is the most robust portion of any recruitment, and that's what we have been putting our time into for the last few weeks and months. CPS HR conducted a resume review on all of the 99 candidates that submitted applications. From that group, they were able to whittle down the list to the most impressive 15 or so candidates. CPS HR conducted those initial screening interviews, which is the typical process to have your executive recruiter do those initial screening interviews. And they were able to make recommendations on a smaller group from those 15. The smaller group of about 5 was evaluated in 2 different panel interviews, One panel interview was with our commissioners. The other panel interview was a group of 3 subject matter experts. And these subject matter experts are all port industry leaders from outside of Whatcom County and really bring that expertise in to be able to evaluate the candidates and whether or not they're able to meet the needs of a role of this scope. Commission has had the opportunity to meet and discuss the qualifications of the candidates with our recruiter at every step of the process. And that just ensures that the needs of Commission as the hiring managers are being met. So that leads us to next steps. Commission will proceed with further evaluation of the remaining candidates. And it's important that recruiting remains somewhat dynamic here. If you get to this point in the process and you have a large pool of qualified candidates, you're going to do additional interview processes and different evaluations to be able to reduce that group of candidates. And on the other hand, if you have one standout candidate, the process will be much quicker, and you won't necessarily need to do additional interviews, additional evaluation exercises if you've got a standout. The final slide I have here is just to emphasize the amount of work that has gone into this recruitment. And I've broken it down by 3 different groups: Commission, our executive recruiter, and staff time, and outlined some of the tasks that have been done. But all in all, there's been approximately 500 hours spent on this recruitment. So it has been it has been a very thorough process, taking up quite a bit of attention of quite a few people. So that is the update that I have. I'm happy to answer any question that Commission may have and leave it to you for discussion.
All right, very good. Thank you, Riley. I'm just going to reflect a little bit about the process. You know, this is the first time in I think about 20 years, really, that we've had a public informed process for a recruitment for this position. There's been a ton of effort on staff's, from staff, and I really want to thank Riley for her role as being our HR director and helping us navigate this process, and for all the community members and stakeholders that have been informative, have asked questions, provided input, and just contributed to wanting to make sure that this was a robust process and one that we were soliciting a lot of feedback on. And people have been very interested in stepping up. I think people recognize there's been quite a long time since we've had a kind of robust public informed process like this. And so I appreciate that. And I think we have done really a great job of both having a solid candidate pool, having a lot of people show interest, and bring in some key members to help us evaluate that. And I want to thank my kind of fellow commissioners for all of their work and thought that's gone into this process as well. We cannot make any decisions outside of a open public meeting, and so I believe we're at a point where we have a decision. And I'm going to make a motion that we have selected that I believe we've selected someone who we would like to do this job and to take our organization into the future. And that I would like staff to work on the next steps that are needed to finalize and determine if this is an accepted offer. And so without further ado, I would like to offer the position of Executive Director of the Port.
You made a motion, right?
I would like to motion, thank you, Commissioner.
And I will second the motion.
Okay, that.
We have to have a discussion if we need a discussion. Do we need a discussion?
Yes, so let me just finish the motion. I will motion that we're going to offer the position to our existing interim Executive Director, Tiffany DeSimone, and ask that she work with our staff if the motion carries, and to determine successful acquisition of the offer. Okay, so at this point I would need a second, which
I second.
Commissioner Briscoe has provided. That allows us to enter into any discussion. Questions or comments? Commissioner James?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Commissioner Briscoe?
No, I just would like to point out, one thing that wasn't touched on, and we had people from the East Coast, people from down in the Gulf, we had people from all around the U.S. apply for this. It wasn't just a couple over there and one over here. There was people all around the United States that applied for this position. So it truly was a commendable search on the party that we hired to do this. So there was and I would also say to my fellow commissioners that thank you for the time invested, because there's a lot of discussions, a lot of talking back and forth. I mean, it was, I didn't think it was going to be nearly as in-depth as it was, and it was very in-depth. So that's all I have.
Very good. You can see it's something that we've spent a fair bit of time on, we don't take lightly, and it is, you know, about the present and the future of this organization, and recognizing the unique moment of change that the organization is in, and looking for stability, looking for trust, and looking for excellence. And sometimes that's something you already have in your midst.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the time that you spent talking to the community and listening to what they are looking for. And I appreciate the trust and confidence that you're showing in me. Thank you.
Okay. So we get to vote on the motion.
Yep. Yes. You get all that down?
Did you get all that?
I'll do my best. Correct me if I'm wrong. Motion to offer the position to Tiffany DeSimone to determine a successful future and present and future in development of the Port of Bellingham.
Okay, very good. We've already had our discussion, so we're just going to vote. Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Our
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But now we got to wait for the answer.
We have to wait for the answer.
Yes, she has to negotiate.
Back and forth. I'm not certain, you could correct me, but I don't believe the Port of Bellingham has had a woman as its director before.
Not that I know of.
No, I
That's
don't.
very exciting. Thank you.
In one year, we have well, it's not, Commissioner James is not our first female commissioner, but the second, and a second, and our first woman who's a executive.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Momentous.
Yeah, thank you.
That concludes our regular business, unless anyone else has any other motions for regular business from our staff. Okay. We move into our next order of business is end of meeting public comment. We have the same kind of procedure as before. Andrew's going to help us with our timer, and if anyone wishes to come up and provide public comment, please do so. Dan Tucker?
So I came here expecting an update. Congratulations. I just wanted to go back to the airport discussion, and with Bobby's comment on the timing of the flights. For me, and I'm here actually as myself, as a private resident living in Fairhaven, for me, using the Bellingham Airport is not necessarily a function of timing, but also of cost. And I know this isn't something that we have direct control over. However, when you look at the cost of a flight from BLI to Seattle, it's around $200, $225 on average. The cost of an Amtrak ticket for not that much longer of a travel time, $19. And for me, that's the deciding factor. As much as I want to use BLI, as easy as it is for me to do so, for round trip ticket to and from the county, it's an extra $400, sometimes $500 for me to fly out of here. And for a budget that we can work on sometimes, it's just too much for me. And so I don't know if there's anything you can do with that. It's outside of your control for airline pricing, but just know that's a big factor for why I think a lot of folks don't use BLI.
Agreed.
Thank you for your comment.
Tor Benson, and I think I just touched on the same topic as well. Just a personal example, I guess. I was born in Petersburg, Alaska, and heading up here in May, and same question, right? Ultimately, the simple answer is if we could have a flight directly from Bellingham to Alaska, right? So I think Anchorage and Juneau are the good options. They're the hubs for the local areas, and so ultimately, I'm flying from here to Seattle, and then Seattle to the Milk Run up to Petersburg. And same, I think I can't catch the morning flight here, so anyway. There's complexities there where a straight flight would be a lot simpler. So ultimately, you know, if you could, string something together, like a flight comes from Denver, right, to Bellingham, Bellingham to Juneau, back to here, one way or another. And I think also it's critical mass. So like right now, I think there's 5 flights between Bellingham and Seattle, and ultimately that layover gets in the way, right? Where if you cut that, if you could bump that up, get 7 or 8 flights a day, and it's 2 hours, and then it's just a no-brainer for people, right? I don't know if the capacity is there, but that's part of it. And you know, Alaska, the Marine Line, the ferry for Alaska, has the same problem, right? They're cutting their budget on that, and ultimately becomes unreliable, and then people, it's not the first thing they think anymore. And so when you don't think of taking the ferry, for an example, in Alaska anyway, then you just, it's negative feedback and atrophies, right? And similar with here, people don't think about Bellingham Airport, and so it's a negative feedback at this point. I think the 4 to 6% marketing makes perfect sense, right? Just get it top of mind people again. So a couple thoughts there, appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody online? Okay. We are going to finish our public comment period and move into other business. Commissioner Briscoe.
You sure you want to ask me first?
The list might be long. I will ask folks if they need a break again after, I think.
Okay. Where to start? I guess the commission compensation is where I'll start, so that everybody understands my views on it. Yeah, it's a public service job. You know, one thing that sticks in my mind every time I hear this is, you know, the port doesn't have enough money as it is. Now we're adding 2 more port commissioners, and then we want to raise what we're going to pay a person for a public service job. A public service job is exactly that. You go and give your service. You know, Whatcom County gave me a lot through my lifetime. You know, the Port of Bellingham gave me a lot through my lifetime. Well, it's time for me to give something back. You know, I hear one person speak about, you know, being paid to give up time with their family to come and do this job. And I was like, what? So we've come to this point here where we're talking about if we give somebody some more money to come and do this job so they don't spend time with their family. I don't think that's right. That's kind of why we're at in this world. You know, for me, I work every day of the week. I'm still working. I'm going to be 70 years old this summer, and I still work 18, 20 hours a day when the time arises and the needs be. But I work about 5 days a week, you know, every year. Plus, we do this. Plus, I do other things. And, you know, public service is a job of commitment. You make them a commitment to something, and if there's other costs, there's other costs. But we look around at our government systems, and people keep getting more money, and pretty soon it's just a job. They're just here for the money. That's not what the port is about. You better not be here just for the money, or you shouldn't be here. Because this is about helping people in a county that the port represents have a better life. And if I can do that, that's a hell of a lot, means a hell of a lot more to me than some cash in the bank. I've taken one, and we have meetings where you can get money. And I don't have a lot of money. Just because I'm a fisherman doesn't mean I have a lot of money, okay? I need money just like the next person. But I've taken, I think, is it $120 or $140 a meeting? What is it? I ignore and I don't remember.
161.
Yeah. I've received payment for one meeting with people in my entire career here at the port because we don't have enough money here to do everything that needs to be done for this county. And that's what this job is about to me. And it should be to anybody that's sitting at this desk, is about the commitment to the people that we're representing, that we give them a better life without charging them for it. So now everybody knows where I'm at on compensation raises. It will be a no. I can tell you that right now. And I will say, if you do come for the money, you're coming for the wrong reasons. Time change for our meetings. You know, when I came, we changed the times. The meetings were later, and I'm trying to remember, was it 5:30 we went to?
I thought it was perfect that Commissioner Macaulay was here because I think we did the change when he was a commissioner.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. But I think, didn't we go to 5:30?
We made it, no, I think we made it later. No, we made it earlier. I think we were at 5:30.
Yeah.
We
I
made
think
it till
was a half,
4.
So people
Yeah.
have a half hour to get from
That's right.
uptown or their business to get here. And I didn't want to change it back. And kind of what happened is we went through a stage where people weren't attending meetings. If I remember correctly, we'd have staff. That was all we ever had, staff. Staff would show up, nobody else showed up. And we did have one influential business person come and sit and say, hey, this is ridiculous. We need to go back to 4 o'clock because we have meetings after the office hours that we need to get to, and we can't come and talk if this is after office hours. So it got changed. I don't believe I voted for that. I can't remember. So I would entertain trying it again, see if it works, moving the time up to where we can, let all the people come that have normal jobs, that got to work, that want to have input and maybe some influence here. That was why I wanted to do it in the first place, is because, people would have to figure out a way to get off work to come to a meeting when they were concerned about something. And like I say, unfortunately, we ran into an era there where I guess we were doing the right things up here and nobody wanted to come and holler, or nobody wanted to come and talk about it. But I think this, this is 10 years later, 11 years later, we're looking at this again, and there's been a lot changed since then. People are a lot more involved. There's a lot of people that want to be here, take part of this, and which they should. This is their commission. It's not ours. It's theirs. So, I'm myself personally am open to looking at that again.
Could we just touch on that for a moment?
Sure.
Tiffany, what do you think would be the best way to gauge interest on this?
On meeting times?
Do we do a survey?
I was getting to that.
Do we?
I was.
Okay,
I would come.
Ahead of you, do we do a doodle poll?
Yeah, we sure could. Yeah, I think we
take
could.
this on? Because I think there's a variety of perspectives. I think later meetings require staff to stay later, which is an impact. For people with kids, there's impacts of it being later.
Yeah.
I prefer it earlier, and I think we have a lot of vehicles for people to provide input, and I think input is equally weighted if it comes in email or a phone call or a opportunity here. And so it's not a hill I'm going to die on for the time, but I would like to have a little bit sense of people's opinion.
Yeah, we could brainstorm a little bit on how to get some feedback about meeting times. I was just trying to think through it as you guys were talking about this, and either way you go, you slide into people who coach or people whose kids play, or it's during the dinner hour, or there's every
Maybe we can
which way.
Like one meeting a month is a little bit later. The next meeting's. I don't know if that would work either, because who knows what the topics are going to be.
This is completely anecdotal, but it feels like we've had better turnout at this hour, and we do continue to offer Zoom. But we could slide it by a little bit rather than going extreme and slide it maybe to 5 instead of 6
or 4:30.
Yeah, or 4:30. Let us do some brainstorming on how we can get some input from people and see.
So along that line, talking about polls, I think that we need to do something and talk to our tenants in our marinas about what upgrades or changes would improve our harbor, what they see in our service to them. If we could maybe put something together, so just put it on our site, and if people are interested in telling us what they see, because there's a lot of eyes down here, other than staff, that see things that we don't. And I'd like to make sure that we're giving the best service and home we can for our recreational and our commercial fleet.
Okay, oh, perfect. So you meant all the tenants down
Yeah,
there? Yep.
everybody. You know,
It would be great if we had an app and that people
Right.
could like easily.
Right, if we had an app. No,
Do that.
didn't
you
somebody
know?
bring that
I mean,
up?
somebody had a smart idea once before.
Yes, yes, I think this is part of a full-on communications plan.
You get that back there, and you got that all written down? All right, 2 pages, okay, gotcha.
To our parking, the folks that spoke on that, I'd like to give my personal outlook on that. Those people opposed to us putting the lot in over there need to probably be reminded it's temporary. It's not a permanent lot. Okay, we have if you followed through the whole Harcourt debacle and everything and the designs down there, the people would have seen that we had a permanent parking structure that brought downtown to the waterfront that is quite big. And along with quite big comes the quite big price ticket to build it. And we're still trying to figure out how to do it. I'm still pushing for it in the conversations I have to get it done now before later, because we're seeing the evidence of what's happening. I understand the lady about the biking and I get that whole thing. And I was glad that somebody got up and spoke to the disabled folks, the people with families that are coming from out of town, and our visitors that drive here from out of town that want to come to our waterfront. You know, we have to figure this out so that it works for everyone. And I get it when you got too many cars, but that comes when you've got too many people. And the population explosion in this part of the country is phenomenal. So, and things are happening faster than we can keep up with monetarily. So it's on all of our minds, and we're just trying to do something that's interim till we can get to the final thing that's going to be the best for everyone. So have patience with the process. It's slow. To the resolution about ICE that Seattle has put forward, I'd like you to get someone to get official copies for us to look at. I don't want to get online, because you get online and who knows who's done what with AI or whatever anymore.
Yep, we'll send you
If you could get
theirs.
an official copy so we could look at it.
Yep, you got it.
So that people that came and spoke understand that if it's something that we think we should take part in, then we could do that, and we would have a straw man, so to speak.
Yep, we'll get you a copy of their resolution.
Yeah. I know I didn't write a couple down, but I think that covered most of what I had to say, and we already spoke. I already poked the bear about the airport thing in Alaska, so thanks for putting up with me. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Other than that I want the people to remember in Whatcom County that we're working for you to the best of our ability as a commission up here, and our staff does an outstanding job at helping us to do that. So sometimes I know patience is hard to, in this day and age, patience is hard to dig out of the little box that's sitting in the corner, but sometimes we have to find it and use it, so, as well as we have to use patience with you, so, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner James.
Yeah, few things. I was reflecting on our last meeting that was really heavy with real estate business and lease modifications. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about the evolution of my perception of the port. Because when I was a candidate, I looked at the work of landlord, property manager, as something that didn't bring a lot of value to the community. I thought the port is just another property manager. We have plenty of property managers. We don't need more. There's more creative and useful things that we can be doing as a public organization. And I just want to say that I was wrong to think that, because in my short time here, I am really seeing the value and the power of public ownership and the way that we as an organization are supporting our businesses, our economy, our workers, and Whatcom County. So if you perhaps shared that feeling or that perception that I shared before I got here, I would welcome you to come talk to me about it, because I am proud to do the work and support our real estate staff that are working really hard for our tenants. And it just takes signing a bad commercial lease to know what this value is. So I just want to take a moment to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
And I would say it's a different view from the chair over there than it is from the chair here.
sure, and you got to give me some time to experience all those different views. I want to speak to the parking situation. So this, I am 100% in support of what has happened over the last couple of days. The commission, the staff, we have received, I don't know, 80 emails from this organization who are concerned about the parking lot on Granary Avenue. And I just will briefly say that parking lot is why I'm sitting here today. And if you want to go deeper into my personal experiences in the area, just reach out to me or meet me over at the bar. We can talk about it there. I'm not going to talk about it up here. But I just want to say that if we rolled out that project in a way that was confusing about it being an asphalt lot, it's not going to be an asphalt lot with a sea breeze. It's a temporary pressure relief valve for existing businesses in the area. And if we don't do something, there will not be businesses to bike or walk to. So it's incredibly important that this lot expansion move forward. And it's incredibly important that this isn't the only thing. We don't just need parking, we need all of the things. We need the bikes, we need the buses, we need potential trolleys, we need walking, we need connectivity to downtown. This isn't just like a one or done parking lot. This is like a Band-Aid to relieve the pressure while we figure this out together. So again, CommissionerCarley.com, book a meeting with me, talk to me about this. If you also, I did respond to every 80 emails that came in, and so if you would like to read my response, I'd be happy to share that for you. Just hit me up. I brought some slides. Can someone drive it for me? You can drive it? Okay. So Commissioner Briscoe has made his feelings known on this, and I obviously I value your time here and what motivates you to do your work. And I am trying to not feel offended that because I can't afford to work for free that I don't deserve to be here. And so the reason that I'm bringing this up right now, and I brought this up weeks and weeks ago, knowing that we have candidates right now doing the calculus, trying to decide if they're going to throw their hat in the ring to become a Port of Bellingham Port Commissioner. And I think we all know that I did this very whimsically and just impulsively did it, and now I'm here. Thank you. Happy to be here. But there are things to know, and so I want to just share them. I brought a visual aid. I hope that we can continue to talk about it. And if you, Commissioner Briscoe, if your word's your final word on it, I accept that. But if there's an opportunity for us to have a discussion about the way that compensation is meaningful for the people that are considering to run in the future of this commission, then I welcome that conversation. So next slide, please. The spirit of this is who can afford to serve? And like I just said, the current compensation scheme, which you'll see, is incredibly outdated. We have fallen behind the state level, and that's part of, this is the question, this is the spirit of why I'm bringing this up, who can afford to serve. So just a little background if you don't know, and I know that this, you used a really great word about heavy, or a lot of words on the slide. Sorry, it's a lot of words. I'll just try to move through it quickly because I know we probably all want dinner, but commissioner compensation is set by Washington state law, and there are 2 tiers of compensation structure, and the threshold is at 25 million in operating revenues. So we are currently a port district that has more than 25 million in operating revenues in the past year. So the numbers set in the law are a salary of $500 a month and a $90 per day per diem, and that's for coming to meetings or, you know, out in the world doing port business. Those per diems do not cover like the ambient office work and reading that's required to do this job. With the per diems, there is a cap for how many you can receive in the year. You'll notice that these numbers have an asterisk, and that's because in 2008, the law was adjusted so that these numbers have an inflationary adjustment. So these are what's on the books, but every 5 years, the numbers have increased based on inflation. And another important part of the law is that commissions have the ability, we have the ability to change this for our port. Next slide, please. I was just really, you know, when I started, I had to work to find this data. And then once I got here and was sort of reflecting over the barrier of entry, I went really deep and I looked through the RCWs as far back as you can go on the website, which is to 1975. So I just wanted to share this slide because I find it personally interesting, that compensation has evolved over time. It started with just the per diems. In 1992, we added a monthly salary. One thing to note here, this per diem limit, we are still capped at 120 annual per diems. I don't know what that's based on. It's written into the law, but it doesn't, there's nothing defending what that number, where that number comes from.
Is that a typo in 2008? Just 1 year you had 121?
It was just like a round, it's the rounding of the
okay.
math.
Okay.
Yeah. But what this chart is just showing you is the breakdown of the pay and then the total annual compensation over time. Next slide, please. So, like I said, when I started here, I was looking at those state levels and thinking that that would be my pay. It wasn't until after I started here that I learned that in 2007, the commission at the time passed resolution number 1248. And what this did was increase their pay from $500 a month to $700 a month. And what's important, I think, to know at the time is that our port was not in the top tier of operating revenues. We were below $25 million. The state salary at that time was $200. So based on this information, the Port Commission had already voted to increase their salary from $200 to $500. Then they voted again to increase it to $700. This is, 250% above the state level of $200 at the time. So because this resolution only addressed salary and not per diem, our per diems have increased with inflation, but that was not built into this resolution. So it essentially locked that $700 pay in, 19 years ago, and it has not changed since. Next slide, please. When I reached out about doing this, whenever that was, I can't remember, you guys, a few weeks ago, there was some support to have staff work on some research, and we all got that memo. So this is from that. Thank you to Riley and the HR team for putting this together. I believe that you reached out to multiple ports to get this information. And so what we're looking at here are just as a market comparison of monthly salaries. And you can see that this is normal for a port commission to reflect on the needs and the expectations and the level of commitment for their particular port and adjust these levels to make it work for their citizens to run. And what I notice about this is that the per diem structure is largely untouched other than Seattle. But otherwise, we have neighboring ports just down the road whose compensation is significantly higher than ours. Next slide, please. I was really inspired. I've been trying to articulate my feelings about this, where this is coming from, and it really is the barrier to participation in democratic oversight. And I was inspired by Seattle's resolution. This was done in 2013, and it's when they increased their salary. And I just wanted to read this to you because, and it's for King County, but the spirit of what this is saying is so right on. Whereas in a representative democracy, average citizens representing the diverse residents of King County ought to be able to serve an elected office such as a Seattle Port Commissioner. And whereas the $6,000 annual salary of a Seattle Port Commissioner is a barrier for many average citizens to serve in this position and is not commensurate with the breadth and complexity of the operations of the Port of Seattle, nor the substantial commitment of time and effort required to fulfill the duties of the office in advancing the interests of the Port of Seattle and King County. And next slide, please. Whereas, as a matter of good governance and sound public policy, the Port of Seattle Commission wishes to set a higher salary for Seattle Port Commissioners. And whereas a higher salary may encourage more average citizens of King County to be candidates for election to the Seattle Port Commission, since salary may be a consideration in an individual's decision to seek elective office. So this is where I'm coming from. This is why this is important to me. Next slide, please. There's a couple of things that you need to know. We cannot change our own salaries. So if Commissioner Briscoe is happy with the salary he's getting, the good news is it doesn't have to change because we can't. It's in the state constitution. Changes to the compensation scheme would only affect commissioners on the first day of their next term. Ours would maintain the current compensation through the duration of our term. I also wanted to note that compensation is included in the Public Priorities Division, which is funded by property taxes, and if increased, it would offset funding used for capital and environmental projects. I don't want to trigger anybody with sharing that detail because the reality is that this port has money and it is a matter of priority and where we spend that money. I don't want you to walk away feeling like the port has no money and we can't afford to pay our commissioners a living wage. The level of work that we're doing here, we just saw the balance sheet. We are overseeing $500 million worth of publicly owned assets. We are approving annual budgets upwards of $130 million. And I want to make sure that if I can help future commissioners break down the barrier to run and sit up here and pay them for the complexity and the commitment that it takes to take on that incredible responsibility, then I'm going to push for this, and I'm going to push for it every year as long as I'm here. So again, next slide, please. I just, who can afford to serve? I hope that this information that I have provided for you helps you reflect on this question, and I'm not actually asking for us to have a conversation about it right now, although my first slide did say a discussion. I guess we've sort of half-heartedly had a disjointed conversation in our own ways. Filing week is next week, and if you're thinking of running, the rate will be what it is unless we do something about it this year. So you know how to reach us, you know how to make your voices heard. And I think the parking lot email campaign And showing up here is an example to all of us. It does not take a ballot box. It does not take a political party. It's called direct action. You can come here and tell us how you want your port to be run, and it is our duty to listen to you.
I need a clarification.
Okay.
Did you say this port had a lot of money?
I say we have money. I didn't say a lot. I'm just
You do know that a 200 million wouldn't even get us close to getting out of what we need to fix. It might dent the top of it, and we don't have it. Pretty soon, we're gonna have to bond to do projects around here. And every cent that we take in a raise to work here comes out of the taxpayer's pocket.
Yeah, I think that
And
it's
so I was confused when you said we have a lot of money.
I didn't say a lot. We can look back. If I said a lot, I misspoke. I think that when I hear you say we have no money, that's what so I think this is like the perception of how we hear each other.
Basically, if you don't have enough money to do everything that needs to be done, you don't have any money.
I know,
We
but
have operating capital, and that's it.
we're talking about like $50,000, $100,000, and that is money that I have, in my short time here, that amount of money we have moved and shuffled around in projects to make things happen. So
That we wouldn't have to move and shuffle around to make projects happen if we took it and put it in our pocket. That's my point, is if you can't afford to come here and serve and give up your time, no matter your age or no matter your monetary structure, then maybe you shouldn't be here, because if you really want to help people, you shouldn't want to get paid for it. If you really, really want to help people and make things better for the future generations, then we can't keep chipping away like government does at everybody's pocket. I don't care whether it's taxes, mortgage rates, compensation for us, I don't care. We don't deserve to take it away from where it needs to go. It needs to go in people's cupboards, it needs to go in their gas tanks. What money we need here is for the I think it was $10 million we get for tax revenue? $8 million we get from the revenue and taxes from Whatcom County doesn't really cover what we need to put back into for the people that gave that money. So we're not going ahead, we're going backwards. And if we had 2 more commissioners, and I looked at these numbers, it's another 100,000 a year, right? So 6 years, pretty soon we're doing $1 million. $1 million is a capital project maybe we could have got done. It all looks good in the short term, it's not very much, but you add that up over time and it's a lot. And that's what happens, is we chip away at everything short term and don't look at what it does in the long term to our position to be able to do what we're supposed to do here.
I want to help the people of Whatcom County. I'm very passionate about the work that I'm doing here, and I also need to eat food and pay my bills. So I just do not have the luxury of working for free, and I think that if I did, I would, but I don't. So it's just the reality, it's just the reality of being alive.
I see your side of it, I really do, but I just, for me, it's just not right.
And
It's interesting that you picked Seattle, one of the biggest ports here, and the time that those guys put in as a port commissioner, we don't even hit a tip of the dust on the corner of the table.
For sure, and you'll notice that I didn't compare our operations or our budget or our scale. I'm merely comparing the spirit of the reasoning behind why they made that change, and that I think that is what is relevant.
And it was for that port, because they have a serious amount of work that those people do.
Can you think of another job that has not had a compensation adjustment in almost 20 years?
Yeah, the fishing industry.
Yeah,
It's true.
Yeah, and
We're still at 1966. I got paid as much in 1966 fishing for my dad. He got paid as much as we're getting today. So, yeah, I know a lot.
I know, and
live in it. So how do you compensate? You work harder and work smarter.
Well,
I think this is a conversation.
And I don't disagree with your points, okay? I'm just saying that I can't comply to that.
and I respect your opinion, and I am grateful for you for listening to where I'm coming from, because again, I'm here to make meaningful change, and I believe in my heart that making this job of Port Commissioner as accessible as possible to anybody in Whatcom County is perhaps the most meaningful thing that I can do as a commissioner.
Well, I think this is one that I would like us to keep having conversation on. I really believe that this is something we need to be collaborating with our partners at the other port districts. I think it's something that we should be networking with WPPA on, because this is a larger conversation than just our one port. As we can see with compensation throughout the ports, is we're fairly aligned. And so I think there's good discussion on whether that is equitable. And I share the interest in making this job accessible to anyone, regardless of what kind of resources they have, and compensating people accordingly for their time. And I think it's a good conversation for us to be in kind of coordination with our other partners, because there are some kind of state guidelines that we're operating under and some kind of accountability that we have to this larger port network. So I would like us to keep revisiting this and continue to work with staff. I know Riley had done a little bit of work on this, and we've been looking for an opportunity to get a presentation from you on the agenda, and I'd like to make sure that happens in the near future.
You got it.
Okay. All right. Okay, anything else, Commissioner James? All right. I just wanted to reiterate my interest in seeing, thank you for offering to schedule kind of some feedback from, about the airport in particular. I know Matt had done some inquiry to our federal partners about use of the airport, and I don't know if there's going to be anything to share back that from information we've gotten back, but I can imagine the flow of information is going to be limited that we have received back, but I think it's important for us to update the public and make sure that we take a look at that Port of Seattle resolution and understand any kind of legal ramifications that could have for us. So,
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Commissioners, so I've heard, can I?
Yeah.
I've heard so far for a couple future presentations, there's quite a list we have going. We have commission compensation, we have the airport update, and we have the procurement one. So all of those are on our list to do, and you should know, as the agenda kind of formulates over the 2 weeks prior to the meetings, we shuffle things around depending on how much time and all of that. So we will work to get all of those on near future agendas.
And I want to kind of reiterate about the parking lot. It's one of those, to me, it's a yes and situation. We're really proud of the biking infrastructure, the walking infrastructure, the transit infrastructure, and we also need more capacity down there for a lot of reasons that people have already spoken to. And so I really appreciate everybody who's been engaged and wanting to learn more and participate. This is just how it should work, and hopefully we continue to provide that information. And I just want to thank everybody for being really just kind of kind and respectful and polite in their messaging that they've provided to us. It doesn't always happen.
That was good. I think this one went really well. I appreciated the feedback.
So I appreciate that. Okay, I think that's all my other business for today. Anything else?
I got one thing.
Yeah.
Blaine, are we getting an update on what's going on up there fairly soon?
Yeah, we are. Brian's not here tonight, but I did talk to Ben. I don't think he's here tonight either. But we will be coming forward. We have a consent decree that needs to come forward, and at that time, we'll do a Blaine update.
Okay. And have we had any talks with Blaine City about the road?
Is Tyler
I mean,
here?
it kind of fell off the map.
No, nothing new. Nothing new.
Come on, Tyler.
But we will.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we're adjourned.